This is a Netherite Chestplate, and this is an enchanted Netherite Chestplate, with the two worst possible enchants on it, and we're gonna get it. Why? I have no idea, but we're doing it anyways. To make things a little harder, I want to get the eye armor trim because it looks cool, but first things first. I mined a tree, got stone tools, and began exploring. I decided to stock up on food early on, so I found a few sheep and crafted my bed, which would be useful since I didn't want to die anywhere during the run. After amassing a buffet's worth of steak and cooking it, I decided to mine straight down in search of diamonds. Using my map, I was able to find a massive cave, and within a few minutes of searching, I was at my first diamonds. The cave I found was insanely big, and trying to defend myself from the swarm of mobs was actually becoming super challenging since I had no armor. I had a few close calls but managed to survive. After a very productive mining session, I found myself next to a huge lava lake, which meant one thing. I was going to the Nether. After crafting myself a full set of diamond armor and tools, I made another portal the Dreamway. Oh boy. I successfully made another portal the Dreamway, set my spawn, and went in. Nah, there is no way. I spawned next to a freaking fortress in the warped forest. My luck was actually insane. I wasted no time and went straight for it. Now you might be asking yourself, Fantasy, why do you need a fortress to get a Netherite chestplate? Well, the answer is the eye armor trim. Besides looking cool, it's the only armor trim that doesn't rely on RNG. It has a 100% chance of spawning in library chests in the stronghold, and the only way to get to the stronghold was using the Eye of Ender, which meant I needed blaze rods. Aside from an already lucky spawn, both blaze spawners were within 50 blocks of each other, which meant getting my rods wouldn't take too much time. The wither skeletons did give me some occasional problems, but after collecting 10 blaze rods, I dipped as fast as I could and began farming ender pearls. Realistically, I really only needed like one Eye of Ender to navigate to the stronghold, but I wanted to be extra careful and decided to get 16, just for comfort. Dispatching the Enderman using my boat strat made my life so much easier, and having diamond armor meant that even when they got too close, I could still PvP them. However, in order to get the Netherite chestplate itself, I still needed to visit a bastion. Looking at my map, I realized that the nearest bastion was about 150 blocks away from my portal. Talk about a godseed. And after traveling for a few minutes, I realized that it was a treasure bastion. This was huge. This was the only bastion I knew how to loot since all the goodies were located right at the bottom. I carefully made my way down, dispatching the brutes and the magma cube spawner on my way down. Everything was going extremely well, until... That was close. After that jump scare, I got rid of any potential mob threats and covered the lava holes before looting the gold. I didn't need it, but might as well. The first chest was exactly what I was looking for. Ancient debris, an upgrade template, and an extra chestplate. The second one yielded me an extra ancient debris, a helmet, and a looting sword. The last chest I looted gave me a mending pickaxe, which was cool, but I didn't overstay my welcome since the guards were still lurking around, and I left as fast as I could. After heading back to my portal, I made the decision to stay in search of the last ancient debris I needed. Unfortunately for me, the surface below was untraversable since there was lava everywhere, so I searched until I found a spot suitable for mining. After mining down 15 blocks above the void, I located a chunk border and began mining. Because I didn't have any beds, I had to mine by hand, and eventually I mined enough blocks that my pickaxe began to show signs of fatigue. But in the end, I finally found it. With all 4 pieces of ancient debris in my inventory, I painfully navigated my way back to the portal, mined some obsidian, and crafted an enchanting table. I headed back to the surface, sorted my inventory, and threw my first Eye of Ender. It broke immediately, but I knew the direction I needed to head in. West. I traveled in the darkness, weaving through mobs and swimming where necessary. Given how strongholds generate, I knew I needed to walk at least 1500 blocks west before throwing my second eye. And after running for what felt like hours, I threw my second eye. It went back. After throwing multiple eyes, I realized that the starter staircase was located somewhere underneath the river I had passed, and using the chunk borders, my suspicions were confirmed. I mined the gravel underneath and, to my surprise, I found myself immediately in the stronghold. I spy. I really wanted to find the portal room without using my map, and I tried, guys, I really did. But the maze was so complicated that I gave up almost immediately. Using my map, I found the location of the portal room and made my way there. It was a 0-eye, but that didn't matter since I wasn't really here for the portal room and instead made my way for the library. The library was super close by, which was convenient. After cleaning the room a bit, I found the library chest and got exactly what I was looking for. The library was a good source of books, so I neatened out a little area, set up a level 30 enchanting table, and a place to store my stuff. It was a makeshift base, nothing too fancy, but it did the job. While waiting for my food to cook, I made a smithing table, crafted a new look, and crafted the eye armor trim Netherite Chestplate. I placed it in an item frame and enchanted my gear. The enchants were mid at best, well, except the boots. And once done, I made my way to the portal room. I had all the eyes I needed, so I decided to fill them all in, just for the vibes. Ooh. However, even though I had the chestplate, I was still missing the two most important pieces to finish off the challenge, the curses. I set up an entrance to make my way back home safely, and after looking at my map, I decided to head south. The obvious question is, but why though? Why go to the snowy plains? Why not anywhere else? See, the thing is, I needed 2 enchanted books, which meant that I only needed 2 villagers to trade them to me. However, the snowy plains can generate igloos, which generate a villager and a zombie villager, which is perfect for my needs. Not only would it give me the villagers I needed, but curing the villager would also unlock hella cheap trades, which was a nice bonus. When I reached the snowy plains, I found a village, which was convenient since I still needed a source of emeralds. After crafting a fletching table, I traded as many sticks as I could to get at least a stack of emeralds, just to be safe. I deforested trees and may have overstepped my boundaries a little bit, but nevertheless, after 2 days of hard work, I had amassed 40 emeralds. While waiting for the Fletcher to restock, I realized that there was an igloo right next to the village. This was huge, as igloos aren't common, but unfortunately for me, after mining the carpet, I realized that this one didn't have a basement. Basements have a 50% chance of spawning, so while it was a bummer, it wasn't too bad. I went to the neighboring village to collect the rest of my emeralds and some arrows, and after getting a stack, I left in search of another igloo. I'm speeding up the footage here as luck was not on my side. I found another igloo, but it too didn't have a basement, and I began to get impatient. Should I give up? Should I scrap the video and leave it here to collect dust on my hard drive? Should I subscribe to Venice because we are so close to 1,000 subscribers? I mean, we only need that last push. We're so close. But no, I couldn't. Instead, I hiked up a hill to look around more easily, and a few minutes later, I found it. When I got there, I prayed it had a basement, and it did. I took the golden apple from the chest, splashed him with weakness, and began the curing process. It didn't take long. I began to trade with the other villager, hoping to get one of the curses. He did not. He tried to escape this one time, so I turned my attention to the other guy. Besides his cheap trades, in just a few tries, I got it. Curse of Binding for 11 emeralds. I bought it, thanked him, and trapped him in a box. I kidnapped the fleeing immigrant and forced him to give me good trades. But instead, I got mending 5 different times, including one back-to-back, and Curse of Binding 3 more times. I was at my wit's end and genuinely wanted to kill him, until... I cannot tell you how relieved I was to finally get it. I literally broke the lectern 200 times, but I finally had the final curse. I neatened the room for the both of them, said my goodbyes, and headed home. It took a little bit, but after ice boating along a frozen river, I was back in no time. This was it. Using my anvil, I combined both books into one, and using my 10 levels, I enchanted my cursed netherite chestplate. I had done it. After taking one final look, I right-clicked the chestplate and looked. It was over. By this point, I could have stopped recording and called it quits since the challenge itself was over, but that didn't feel right. I mean, what was the point of going all this way just to end it here? Where was the thrill of knowing I could lose it at any moment, knowing I could have come all this way to lose it all? Isn't that the point of the curses? Wasn't this why I had come so far in the first place? I knew I needed one more challenge, one that would put everything on the line. I needed to go to the end. I packed up, taking whatever I knew I needed: pearls, a bow, arrows, anything. When I thought I was ready, I took a final walk back to the portal room, and after setting my spawn, I jumped in. I made a simple bridge to the end islands and, once there, I began taking out all the crystals. Because my aim absolutely sucks, I bridged along a few of the pillars to break some of them. I had a few close calls, but I managed to survive. The dragon was being extremely annoying at times, which threw me off, but I eventually managed to destroy all the crystals. All that was left was me and the dragon. Since I had no beds, my only way to kill her was with my bow. I missed a lot, but it was still enough to do damage. When she perched, I rushed to the center to hit her with my sword. As she turned right, I aimed for her head, but she launched me hundreds of blocks in the air. I hotkeyed to my bow instead of my pearls, and by the time I realized it, it was already too late. And just like that, everything I worked for, the diamonds, the blaze book, pearls, the netherite, the armor trim, all amounted to nothing. The chestplate I had worked so hard for was gone. I made my way back to my corpse in the hope that maybe, just maybe, the chestplate glitched and it was still there, but no amount of gaslighting could bring it back. It was gone. I crashed out. I had spent 5 hours getting to this point, and now all of it was gone. I had to release my anger on someone, and that someone was the Ender Dragon. I locked in, boring her so many times that at one point it seemed like I had aimbot on. When she perched, I crit her out, and when she flew, I shot her down. At one point, she dragon breathed the center, so I had to wait outside, and when it died down, I made for the center and hit her, but she had the better of me, and as my life flashed before my eyes, I knew I had to make it. Not this time. With adrenaline rushing through my veins, I popped the golden apple and waited for her to make the final perch. And when she did, I didn't hesitate and went straight for the kill. Free the end. The culmination of everything I worked for led me to this moment. GG, Ender Dragon, you fought well. I collected the XP and the dragon egg before making my way back to the library. With the chestplate gone, the only memory I had was the dragon egg I was rewarded for my adventure. Did I lose? Well, yes, but actually, no. The chestplate may be gone forever, but my journey to get here won't be. I was going to end up fighting the Ender Dragon eventually. It was inevitable. And killing her was the best way I could honor the chestplate I had lost along the way. With her and the chestplate gone, I laid down my sword, took a final look at my home, and said goodbye. I may have lost the challenge, but I still wouldn't change a thing. Loss is a part of life, and where one journey ends, another begins. If you enjoyed this video, you might like this video where I tried to collect every boat in Minecraft, or this one where I farmed 1095 potatoes to honor the legacy of Technoblade. But either way, I hope you enjoyed watching my journey, and until next time, all hail the Invisible Mafia.